To replace the rear shroud, the first thing we need to do is power off the chair, then unplug it. Next, we'll open the orange levers and remove the wiring from the inline connector on both sides, as well as the cable from each of the two cable guides. Now, if the shroud is being installed on a chair that has a kiosk system attached, it's important to remember which color wire went in which slot. Okay, then we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the 3 screws that secure the shroud to the chair. Then we can slide that shroud backward and then flip it over so we can work on the underside of it, resting it on the floor there. We'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to loosen the 9 screws that secure the plastic panel on the underside of the shroud. Okay, then you can remove that panel, and we'll lift that coiled cable up and off the post. There's a zip tie that was securing it to the post, and then disconnect the connectors. And we can remove the shroud from the chair. To install the new shroud then, make sure you have the shroud that has the inline connector installed as well as the holes drilled and the cable guides in place. Then we'll put that shroud upside down on the floor and again use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the plastic panel from the underside of the new shroud. Then we can remove that panel. Then we can stretch that coiled cable out to enable us to reconnect the connectors. And then use that same zip tie, slide it over the top of that post just to keep that coiled cable in place there. Okay, next we need to feed the cable that's coming from the main PCB through the pre-drilled hole in the shroud. And then just to make sure that cable doesn't fall back into the shroud while we're installing the shroud onto the chair, we're going to just place a zip tie temporarily around the casing there to stop the cables from falling back into the shroud. Okay. Next, we can place that plastic panel back into position, making sure you remove the screws all the way from those holes, and then replace the screws to secure it. Okay, then we can flip that shroud back over. And slide it into position, making sure the edge of the shroud goes in between the plastic tab and the side panel of the chair. As you can see here, it is not where it needs to be, so we need to adjust it to the right, like so. Okay, then we can replace the 3 screws to secure the shroud. And we can cut that zip tie we put temporarily on the wiring, twist the ends of each wire to make sure they're nice and tight. And then if you're installing this shroud on a chair that has the kiosk system installed, it's important that you replace the wiring in the same location as it was previously. In other words, the positive wire in the same location and the negative wire in the same location. You can install the cable into the cable clamp there. And then we'll do the same thing with the other wiring. Again, if it's coming from a kiosk system, the positive wire needs to be aligned with the positive wire coming from the chair, and then 2 negative wires need to be aligned. If you're installing this shroud on a chair that has a T-Max system attached, then it doesn't matter. Either wire can go in either slot. Okay, then we're ready to plug in the chair. Power it on. And we're done.